Hacks likes this very much.
Welcome to
Coffee with Toffees.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Let's do this.
And welcome back to Coffee with Toffees, the Dota 2 morning news podcast. This is your morning show. Hopefully you listen to this on the way to work or at the commute or even at the gym in the afternoon, but it is time for you to get your Dota 2 news. It's a bit dark in here because we're doing the show early. My kid has had a crazy sleep schedule of late, and we're making do with what we can. But we've got a pretty full show for you today, and we'll kick it off right away. Remember, if you like the show, you can follow me at Toffees_Dota2. You can go over to the SoundCloud, you can go to the YouTube, you can get the RSS feed and the podcast from iTunes by just searching Coffee W/Toffees. And of course, you can join us on Steam in our chat room, Coffee W/Toffees as well. On top of that, if you want to support the show, if you want to help us keep doing what we're doing, when I say us, I mean me, you can go there to patreon.com/Toffees and choose to give $1 or whatever. And that does help fund the computer power, the hosting rights, all the different stuff that we have to do to keep the show running, because it's not that cheap. And to be honest, it also takes a lot of hours. So it helps me justify the amount of time that I spend writing and doing the podcast for you guys. So if you like it, if you listen to it for more than a couple of hours, or you get a couple hours of enjoyment a month, I would say hook a brother up. That's all we're saying. All right, now let's get on to the pro news. Pro news is actually pretty interesting today. First and foremost, the one that you might be the most familiar with is Solo has announced that he will be leaving Team Empire. And Empire's been a team that's been kind of on the shakes a lot lately. They haven't been performing the way that they used to. Remember when there was a time when I thought that Empire could possibly win TI. They were on a win streak that could not be rivaled. They were doing such a great job, and then all of a sudden, it just sort of the wheels fell off of the wagon, and things got bad for them. So they haven't recovered since, and now Solo decided no longer to remain with them. His statement that he released on their website was, "Thanks to Team Empire for the opportunities to prove myself in the role of support, but unfortunately I have to take a break from Dota indefinitely for personal reasons." This is not a "I'm tired of the team," this is not "I'm going somewhere else," this is a "I cannot play Dota anymore." So we don't know the reasons, it hasn't been disclosed to us, but Solo no longer with Empire due to personal issues that are removing him from Dota completely. Second piece of news, this one is interesting to me, is I can never figure out how to say his name. I think it's Chuan Chan. Confirms that IG is going to undergo changes. So basically he said, "I'm not leaving the team. However, there's going to be some big changes over at IG." He also said that he would never leave the team unless, and I quote this, "there is a dream team that I want to join." So he hasn't written it off completely. However, he says, should a major player team that's made up of like the best in the world, a New York Yankees or a Man United team show up, he would maybe be willing to transfer to that. Otherwise, though, he's sticking where he is, though expect IG changes. So we're thinking roster changes. Again, it's just from the words of him, so we don't know. It's technically rumor, but it could be just about anything. Other big one going around in the this isn't the rumor, this is the legit news. Power Rangers have signed Dityara as the 5th player. So he is going to be the 5th member of Power Rangers. They've been going for a while without really having their full roster. It's now Dityara, Shaklo, Cheshire Cat, J4, and Saniko. And this should actually make a pretty good PR team. Now, what you guys might not know is I've been a PR fan for a while. I missed the days when they were actually really strong because they had aggressive, frenetic styles of play, and I loved watching them. So hopefully this brings them back to that. This guy, Dityara, is a young carry. He plays a very strong game, and he's got that sort of mentality with the young players that's sort of a let's just go for the gusto. And hopefully he brings that back to PR, and they step up and return to their former glory. Now, the last rumor that's going around, this is from Team Tinker. Sing Sing said in his stream Now, keep in mind, this is something that was said on a stream by Sing Sing. So he could have just been trying to stir up trouble or troll, but at the end of the day, he said that things are going to be shaken up, that the roster is going to change on Team Tinker. Now, Team Tinker hasn't had the greatest performances of late, so that wouldn't surprise me that much. But at the end of the day, it is a rumor. We cannot take salt in that necessarily, except for the fact there's some evidence coming up a little later in the show that maybe backs up the idea that things are due for a change in Team Tinker. So that's the pro news. Tournament news, also very interesting. A lot of big announcements. Here's the major one. ESL1 has announced they will return to Frankfurt in 2015. They're selling the tickets in 3 days. This is the old World Cup Stadium in Frankfurt. They had a great ESL1 there earlier this year in 2014. They're going to do it again next year. So if you want to go back, if you live in that region, get the tickets because they're going to sell fast. So Frankfurt 2015 ESL1. Hey guys, if you're hiring hosts or interviewers or anything, really, you know where to call me. Look me up, Toffees. All right, so that's ESL Frankfurt. Next big one. This was kind of a news that caught us off guard, but not really when you think about it. EG withdraws from StarLadder Season 11. So when PPD came on the show, we talked a little about oversaturation of tournaments and the difficulty of teams to sort of keep up with that. If you want to hear it, you can go back to the PPD interview. It's on YouTube. It's on the podcast. You can get it on the RSS, so it's all available to you. But what happens is they pulled out of StarLadder 11. And the statement that came from the team on the website, we don't know who gave it, it's just the website statement says, "Hey guys, unfortunately I have some bad news, as Evil Geniuses Dota 2 will be withdrawing from StarLadder Season 11. With 2014 coming to a close, we've been exhausted from travel as a team. In the last 6 months, I think we've been sleeping in hotel beds longer than we've been in our own. And this, along with the fact that we haven't played any games yet in the season, are the sole reasons we're pulling out of StarLadder. We will still play out the remaining tournaments that we're in, including Dota Pit and D2L, and afterwards. We plan on spacing out our LAN commitments. I want to thank Andre, X3 Formeg. He's been nothing but helpful, understanding, and professional during every single StarLadder we've attended and competed at. We look forward to being in Season 12 again." So, they're not saying it's StarLadder's fault. In fact, they went out of their way to say StarLadder has been professional and helpful. StarLadder was totally professional about their release statement as well. But EG just says that they're burned out. Now, they are going back to StarLadder in 12. They have already put that on the roster. But what they're saying, it sounds like, is that they are going to drop some of their other commitments next time around. So maybe it sounds like Dota Pit may not get them back or some other tournaments because they're just getting burned out. Now, we'll replace them. The team is called We'll Wreck While Whistling, and that's made up of a couple of up-and-coming North American players, so that should be pretty interesting, but they're not on the standard of EG. So StarLadder 11 got a lot easier for a lot of teams out there when that happened. That said, it's a huge problem in the scene that I think needs to be addressed. And, maybe we'll put together a panel here on the show to talk to pros about that. The idea that it's oversaturated. There's a reason I firmly believe that football has surpassed baseball and basketball as the #1 most watched sport in North America. For those of you who don't know, maybe you're not watching from North America, American football, is the #1 most watched sport in the entire country. And the reason for that is it happens once a week. It happens a couple times a week. We have the random Thursday games, etc. But every team only plays once a week. So if you're a hardcore fan, you clear your schedule for that game. You don't have to clear your schedule for 60 games. Whereas the baseball and basketball leagues have upwards of 5 to 8 games per week, and it's too much for a fan to watch, so they lose fans. This feels very much the same. It's hard for me to be an EG fan, if indeed I am, and I won't admit to being a fan of any team since I got to stay impartial, but if I'm an EG fan, I have to watch a ton of games every single week to even try to keep up with how the team's doing. You throw stand-ins into the mix and other things, and it just becomes too hard. So EG's taken a stand on this. They can do that as one of the best teams in the world, and I would not be surprised to see the other big teams follow suit, which takes us to our next piece here, which is Team Tinker has pulled themselves out of StarLadder Season 11 as well. Now, this could be different. Team Tinker may have pulled out for reasons that support the original rumor about roster changes, and they want to get things straightened out before they move forward, but they do remove themselves from the tournament. They have not released a statement about it. We do, however, know that LeJohns will premiere instead of the Team Tinker in that particular tournament. So StarLadder has taken a huge blow. They lost Tinker and they lost EG, two regional favorites who bring a lot of fans. So that's a pretty massive kick in the crotch, really, to those organizers. Also, Team Tinker has pulled out of, I believe, Esport. Yeah, they pulled out of the Esportal Invitational Section number 1 as well. So Esportal was supposed to be Team Tinker as the 8th team, but BBC has replaced them. So Tinker adding a lot of credence to this rumor about roster changes that they've left 2 major tournaments in a short period of time. On that topic, Esportal is our next piece of tournament news. It has started up. It started yesterday, I believe. I watched a couple of games today. The 8 teams who are playing are Power Rangers, Virtus Pro, Team Secret, Cloud9, Empire with the new carry, Virtus Pro Polar, Alliance, and now the Balkan Bears, Corleone, because Tinker dropped out. So that's a pretty beefy squad, and basically what they're playing for is the winner of this mini tournament gets, I believe, it's $15,000, and a invite to the $110,000 LAN final, which should only be about 4 to 6 teams in attendance. So this is going to be a pretty good slugfest. The eSportal is a really unique format. They get 3 rounds each, 3 rounds of pro invites, 3 rounds of amateur invites, and those 6 teams play each other. So for a pro team, like let's say Team Secret, they have a really high statistical chance of winning because it means there's only 2 other technical pro teams going up against them at the tier 1 level, and then they're going to have 3 tier 2 or tier 3 sort of win-in teams to deal with. So they have a good chance of taking home the 110, which is why you get these big teams in that tournament. So that's what's going on with eSportal. Dota Pit, guys, the playoffs have begun, so look for those games. We saw the first one today, and we'll see a bunch more popping up over the next week from what I understand. So look for some more Dota Pit playoffs as those come down the pipeline. And what we're going to do before we log out, or before we finish up for the night, is do Star Ladder standings, because this is our Friday tournament wrap-up night. So in terms of the tournament, Star Ladder underway so far for the European Series. Secret at top, 6-1. Natus Vincere second at 6-2. Hellraisers, surprisingly enough, at 5-2, but they've had an easier roster, FYI. Virtus Pro Polar tied out is at 3-0, and Team Empire at 3-1. So doing pretty well. Alliance 0-2 to start their season. Not the best, and KZ, X Game pretty much out of it at already 2-8. On their record. So Secret starting out very strong. In the American Series, Sneaky Nick's Assassins are looking good, man. They are 6-1. Way ahead of the competition. There's 8 teams in the tournament. That means they've played everyone once, and they're 6-1. So they are locked in and looking good. Team eHug is 3-0. Pain Gaming at 2-3. So Team eHug actually doing really well. This is a new team. They were on the show. They came in and chatted with us, and I expect really great things out of them. They're made of some really good players, and so far they're doing a great job in Star Ladder. So this is their premier tournament. It was their big invite when they formed the team. So I'm actually really excited about seeing how they do. So go watch their games. They're going to be happening over the next couple of days. Check out the new Team eHug. They used to be called Infinity Plus 4, but they are doing a great job. Definitely worth watching. Complexity, a little bit of a surprise to me at they're 1-1, and Leviathan 2-4. Those are 2 teams that I also expected to do very well, and they have time to improve. Leviathan not so much, so they're 2-4, and now the Leviathan guys are competitors, so they're not going to give up. They'll keep pushing through. But I definitely expect them to be a little farther ahead. So I was surprised at where they're sitting at this point. Also, not today at 1-2, struggling to get involved. Wheel, by the way, also in this tournament. That's the team that is replacing the dropout of Alliance. So last thing we want to talk about is before we do our pick of the day, there's a tournament going on at the Amateur Dota 2 League this week, guys. And if you want to sign up for it, you absolutely should. It's an all-random deathmatch tournament. It's 1 day only. It's on Saturday. We already have 64 teams signed up. You can go to Amateur Dota 2, that's the number 2, league.com, and sign up for it. It's free to enter, $75 for the winning team. Tournament format, I believe it's a one and done, so your day may not be that long, and it's all random deathmatch. So nobody has mastered all random deathmatch, so there's a good chance you can take that home. The casters are going to be myself, Gorgon the Wonder Cow, Nahaz, Answer, Action Slacks, as well as many more. So we've got a couple of big names on the docket. We got a lot of fun coming our way. I've never casted all random deathmatch. In fact, I'll probably play a bunch tomorrow to try and get myself ready for it. But it is going to be a blast. So check it out. Sign up. $75 cash prize. Still open for signups, I think, until the end of day tomorrow. So definitely something that you need to check it out. Last thing to talk about is our picks of the day, guys. I went over all the games tomorrow, and the one that I am definitely going to be watching is going to be Secret versus Virtus Pros. A lot of decent games tomorrow. This is eSportal, though, so this is for that tournament where you get the invites and the big invitational. So I think that'll be a good one. The casting has been great on eSportal. This morning it was Zyori, Coddle Guy, and God's doing it, and it came out. It was really a lot of fun to watch. So I think that'll be a really good one. If you're looking for something a little more evenly matched, and it sort of pains me to say this, but Alliance Legends is probably going to be pretty close. Honestly, Legends has their whole team. Alliance is running stand-ins. They're really off of their game. I think that will be a pretty close match, though. If you're looking for one, bang for your buck. A lot of fun, Secret versus VP. VP's been playing very, very well lately, and Secret, well, they're Team Secret. So it should be a lot of fun to see this one. So check that out, guys. That's our news for the day. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching the podcast, we love you. If you're watching this anywhere, we love you. If you want to follow me at Toffees_Dota2, I highly recommend it. And remember that you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Toffees. Support the show. I have the new mug. It's being shipped to me right now from the printer, so I'll have that on the show hopefully in the next week. Waiting on the last design content for the t-shirt. I want to get the Toffee logos changed up a little bit in color to make life cheaper for us, so we don't have to pay a fortune for the t-shirts. But t-shirts should be out soon, and both those will be available to those who support the show. So that said, guys, it's been a wonderful evening. I am going to get some sleep as you all wake up to get ready to go about your days, and we'll see you tomorrow. So thanks for listening. Have a wonderful afternoon, and as always, Toffees out.